Alright, so in this video, I'm basically going to be showing you how to connect the Walksnail HD Pro kit to your FPV drone. We will first by starting to connect the VTX to the flight controller. We will set everything up in Betaflight. We will bind it to the goggles, and at the end, we're also going to be doing some flight tests together. And I will basically share with you some of my thoughts about the Walksnail system. Let's get going. Okay, so basically we're gonna start by unboxing the case. This is also my first Walksnail VTX, so I'm kind of excited to try out the system. All right. Okay, so pretty good, pretty good. So there's actually a quick startup guide, so probably later we can refer to this, so it might be easier for everybody. So you get some small little stuff that you can use. So okay, so something for you to update your system. And here goes the VTX itself. I really like this cable better than the DJI ones. Like the DJI ones just feel like they're so easy to break, and these, I like this. Like you got a little outer cable of it, so much nicer. And yeah, and antenna, perfect. All right, let's basically start the installation. All right, so in the package, you're basically going to be getting two cables. So the first cable on my left right here, this is going to be your data cable. You're supposed to plug this in to the Walksnail body right here. And this one is mainly just for you to update your Walksnail firmware whatsoever, that this one basically mainly connects to computer. All right, so in order to update, you do still have to power the system up. You do have to still supply power to it. So you have to connect the power cable, which is kind of a little bit annoying, but yeah, since like Cadex Vista, Runcam Link, DJI Air units are all like that, I'm okay with it. All right, so the second cable you're going to get is the cable that you actually will be using it to connect to your flight controller. So as you can see from the Walksnail system, you basically have two options for this particular board. You can either plug it in, the plug right into this portion, and then solder the rest to your flight controller, or you can basically do the reverse. Solder the portion right here, and then connect the cables to your flight controller if your flight controller has a plug. So a thing to be remembered of is this particular board does require 6 volts to 25 volts in order for it to be powered on. So you will not be able to power it on the board with a 5-volt pad, so you will have to find at least a 6-volt plus pad in order to solder. So you could put it on a 6. You can basically, if you don't have any options, you could just actually put it on the bat directly, basically your power. But generally, yeah, it's still better to have regulated power in order to get the longevity of these, like make sure they live a little bit longer. All right, so for me, because my flight controller, the one I'm actually going to be using, is going to be this one. This is going to be the GEP RC F722. So it does, as you can see from the picture, it does have a plug. And although it's meant for DJI Air units, but this plug is still going to fit. You can still plug it in, you're just not going to use the rest of the 2 pins. All right, so without further ado, let's begin the installation. All right, so you're going to have to solder. I'm very sorry. So you're going to basically bring out your soldering iron. And what we're going to do is you're going to pre-tin these pads. So not the hardest, but also not the easiest, because everything is kind of close by. So just make sure you give it a correct amount of solder. So the way of doing it is put your soldering iron onto the pads. For these smaller pads, it's easier in a sense. Just make sure we don't accidentally damage the thing. Oops, you can see that's a terrible job. All right, and the next one goes to the RX. Okay, VCC. Okay, so the next step, we will be actually connecting this cable to the solder pads. So the most important thing right here is you just make sure that you don't mix up the ground and the hot cable. So red goes to VCC and the black one goes to ground. And then another important thing right here is that the TX and RX needs to be reversed. So on my flight controller, the white cable is representing the TX pad. So this white cable has to be connected to the Walksnail system to RX, and the gray cable represents the RX on my flight controller, so it has to be connected to the TX. All right, let's start by wiring one by one. So yeah, probably start with the ground cable. Okay, so basically that's the basic connection of it. And the next step, we will be able to just simply plug it into the flight controller. So my plug is actually going to be right here. And then the correct way of plugging it should be, I think it's this way. Okay, that's done for the first step. Okay, so once the physical connection has been completed, we're actually going to bring out the antennas. Yeah, make sure you plug in the antenna before you power it on, otherwise eventually this thing is going to just fry. So to plug in the antenna, this is the location you want it to go. So we probably will need to remove a few screws out. I will assume that we probably have to remove the top plate off in order to get this connected. All right, let's get going. Okay. Yeah, I really like the quality, and since like everything is so small, you know, when things are like super thin, I think it's a good thing that you can fit it into a lot more systems. Oh, here we go. So yeah, easier than I thought. Okay, so the antenna has been secured, and now we are going to power this up just to see if we are actually have a successful connection. But just to be extra cautious, we're going to use a short saver. So this thing is basically going to give us a red light in case there is going to be a short somewhere. So if there's going to be a problem, this should save our equipment. So if you don't have one, make sure you get one. Links are going to be down below. This is going to be the best 10 bucks you're going to be spending in your FPV life. Right, so let's plug it in. Okay, we're going to give it a little bit more volts by pressing the 2M and then fire it away. Okay, so everything is fine. Let's just make sure that we are getting any lights from this thing. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is blinking, and this is a very good thing. All right, the next step, we're going to have to move to the computer, as we are going to make sure that the firmware is the most updated version, because you do require the most updated version on both your device in order to connect. All right, let's unplug everything and move to the computer. All right, we're swapping the scene to the computer side, and then we are going to actually use the little cable. Okay, so this is when you're going to actually plug in this little cable to the ports right here. So both of the, basically you'll be able to connect it to your, like, yeah, computer. Okay, I don't think this is going to be powered up directly. I think you do need to be connecting the battery, but let's just try it first. It's actually going to work like that. Yes, all right, so you do require to be plugging into the battery in order for it to actually be powered on, in order to get it like, so what we're going to do is power it on like usual, like this. And since like it's powered on, you're going to use a little fan just to blow at the device so it does not overheat. All right, so the next step, we're going to be switching the scene to my computer. So at the computer, you're basically going to go to the Cadec's website. You're going to go to downloads, and then you're going to scroll all the way down here. You're going to go to the firmware. just make sure you update. You're going to have to download the avatar stable. This is going to be whatever the firmware is going to be stored in. All right, so once you have the file, you're basically going to be going into, where did I download it? Right here. Okay, so this is going to be the file. You're going to open it, basically extract all first. And then you're going to go into firmware. So an important part, so if you're not sure, Cadec's actually made it pretty easy in the sense that you just have to click this. You know that, hey, you know like exactly which firmware that you have like has to be sent in, like saved into the particular device. So for VTX, it's generally all Avatar Sky, and Avatar Moonlight Sky, of course, is going to be a different one, but the rest are going to be the Avatar Sky. So we have the goggle S, so this is probably the one we have to save in the system later. All right, so basically you're just going to get the Avatar Sky, you're going to copy, and then you are going to go to, I think this USB drive E, so paste it right here, and this should be done. Okay. Okay, so once we have the firmware completed setup on the basically this, the next step we're actually going to be setting up the goggles. So the setup of the goggles is a completely different method. You do not have to plug it in. All you needed to do is to put the file into an SD card and plug it into the goggles, and basically the rest of the goggles is going to take care of the job. All right, so we're basically going to be plugging in the USB SD card into this device. And then, yeah, we're just going to be plugging in this thing into the system. Once you have plugged in the SD card, we're going to be switching the view back to the computer. So what you have to do is you are going to go to the download files that we have the Avatar firmware, and then copy the goggle X firmware file and go to the SD card that we just created. Not this one, actually. It should be this one. And then you're going to replace the file. I already have it. So once you're done, close it, and we can unplug the SD card. Okay, we will then come back to our goggles, and then we will plug in the SD card to the SD card slot. And you're going to basically what you're going to do next is you are going to power up your goggles, and then you are going to hold this button, basically the bind button, about 7 or 8 seconds in order to force the goggle to like reboot. And once the goggle is rebooting, it's going to read the file that is in the SD card, and it will flash the firmware. So this is a requirement. The next step, we're actually going to be plugging in this quad. We're going to set the thing up in Betaflight so it knows how to function. Okay, so same drill. You're basically just going to be plugging in the USB. This is a micro USB cable to the flight controller. Yep, and since this time it's not going to be enough power to power the VTX, we're not going to be blowing at it. So we're just going to hit connect to Betaflight, and at the Betaflight you're going to go to the ports tab. And because we have connected our flight controller, the particular pad is going to be TX1 and RX1, right? So TX1 and RX1 will equal to UR1, TX2, RX2 equal to UR2. So the plug is TX1 and RX1. We're just going to be enable MSP. So, and this part, I don't know how to pronounce it, per source, whatever. You're going to also enable NSP just display port. So this is going to basically give you the option to use the OSD. So once you have completed, you're just going to hit save and reboot. And basically this should be the bulk of the setup, and we will be able to go to our bench. We're going to plug in a LiPo. We're going to bind the goggles and the VTX together. Let's get going. All right, so coming back to the bench, and we're basically just going to be plugging everything in so we can give it a quick test to see if they actually bind together. So for the goggles, since they don't have a default cable, we're just going to use a SpeedyB back. This is basically going to regulate the voltage to coming in, so you're not going to accidentally fry your goggles by plugging in something too strong. At least the most you're going to be frying is going to be the backboard. So it basically supports 3S to 6S. So if you don't have one, I would strongly suggest you getting one to basically powers up all your goggles, everything. Okay, and then for the drone wise, we're just also going to be plugging in right here. Okay, so once everything has been powered on, the first thing you're going to be hitting is going to be the buy button right here at the goggles. So once you hit it, this should basically force the goggle to go into bind mode. And then the second part we have to go is you're going to hit the buy button at the drone side. So at the drone side, the buy button is going to be right here. So I don't know if you can see it. There's going to be a buy button, basically the same button you have to press in order to update the firmware. Okay, so once you can see that it's turning red right now, but you can see that it becomes to green again, and this is an indication that it has been successfully bind. And we can see in the goggles that we're actually going to see footage coming out from this quad. So very nice that this has been bounded. All right, the next step, we're basically going to be unplugging everything. I'm going to be putting this back so we can finally test flight this. All right, so basically we're done with the installation. So everything has been put back right now. And yeah, basically let's head to my front yard and I'll see you there. All right, so we're switching the scene to my front yard and we're finally able to test fly this avatar. So you can see that's a really nice sunny day. And as for the battery wise, we're using the 6S CNHO Ultra Black to test this. All right, let's plug it in. Let's give it a go. All right, I really like this Cinebot. It does have a nice LED look. So, all right, let's give it a go. Let's put it down. Let's give it a flight. All right, so the footage you're seeing right now is coming out from the Goggle X. So this is really my first flight without any filtering. So yeah, it's really just exciting that I can try Walksnail with that. And this camera, I believe, is the HD Pro, and I do think that it does look a lot better compared to like the DJI Vista, at least for the polar cam that I'm used to. This one is like completely like, if you wanted to use it in some sort of DVR, I think it's okay. I think my camera setup there is a problem. It seems to have a little jello, but yeah, I just think that's my mount. So definitely, hey, it's a very nice experience compared to like the DJI. Like, it's definitely an alternative that you can try to get. I don't know. It seems that you can see all the details, like every tree branches. Like, I think it's like really. This is definitely really nice. I have to do like I probably will do like a comparison later on, just to compare the Nebula Pro and this one, just so we can actually, yeah, kind of like do a side-by-side comparison. But right now it does seem that it looks really nice. The balance, you can see that the watercolor, everything looks pretty natural. Yeah. This makes me even wanted to try more of the Moonlight kit, because yeah, that one is going to be comparable to the O3. So for me, I'm a person that I don't particularly really care about like what I actually fly like in my camera, like what I see. As long as I can see everything, and as long the image doesn't go off, I'm happy, because normally I'm a believer that most of the recording is going to happen on the top like action camera anyway. So, and yeah, so, and also like my flight style, it's really just those kind of like boring old man flying styles. So it's not like I'm like a really fanatic of like weights. As long it floats, as long I can get enough flight time to get most of the stuff done, I'm good. Wait, I just realized we're missing a tree right here. I think it was chopped off. Originally there was 3 of them. Okay, I didn't know that. Probably just happened when I was at work or something. Yeah, definitely. As for the range wise, if we're just going to fly this around the neighborhood, I think it's just going to be totally okay. Wow, this is really nice. I was like really surprised at how good this actually is. Yeah, so we got people, so we're just going to probably pick up a little bit altitude. Yeah, wow. You can see that the dynamic range of this is really, really nice. Oh, here a chopper or something flying around. Where is it? Can't see it. Yeah, I'm definitely not high that I'm gonna be. If the chopper is actually flying this in this altitude, definitely there's gonna be a problem. Alright, so let's actually. Yeah, wow. You can see all the trees. That was really, really nice. Hey, this camera is really good, I would say. Definitely worth the upgrade. If you're like really wanted to see every single detail, I think this is definitely nice. And overall, I think like Walksnail, it's a better system in the sense that you get a lot more choice. It's not like it's better or whatever, but you get a lot more choice on the stuff that you're getting, and this does make me wanted to like completely switch all my quads to Walksnail, but I haven't like dig in enough to like know the problem of it. So probably something that we will have to find out in the longer run, but so far it's a really nice experience, it does seem. And for the delay, it doesn't seem that I'm getting a lot of that. So it's only 25 megabytes per second compared to like the DJI regular goggles. Compared to like DJI or like the goggles 2, it's 50 megabytes per second. So, but it does seem pretty good. Yeah. So the range probably is not something that we're going to be testing today to see the penetration, because yeah, it's just mainly this is just my first flight. I just wanted to share my like really true like initial thoughts about seeing it. Yeah. But so far, hey, I'm really happy with the system. I think like this is going to be something I'm going to probably keep it half and half, just so we can, yeah. And the 6S battery seems to be performing well. Like it's already 5 minutes of flight, and we're at like 22 volts. So probably let's drop it around 21. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this is a city group, so I don't think I should be doing a lot of acro, because also we're in kind of like an early morning. I don't really want to pick up the high motor high motor pitch to like wake even more people. And also we just have a little power outage this morning, so yeah, we just got it back like right now, so that's why I get to like come out and test this. So, but overall, yeah, this is a really nice experience, and if you wanted to try a Walksnail, I think definitely this is worth it. So I don't know if there's going to be a significant difference if you are going with the extension of the VRX kit to like an analog goggles. I don't know if it's going to be like a very different experience, but so far the Goggle X seems to be performing just fine, and yeah, everything seems to be like very good. And oh, also like I did some upgrades to my goggle S. I basically bought the newbie drone foam, so it doesn't like the original one just doesn't seem to like fit like me like pretty well, because yeah, I think it was because it was that particular foam was target for like Westerners, and I'm like an Asian, so everything seems to be a little bit flatter on me. So it's something that I was looking forward to. Yeah, so basically we got the newbie drone foam kit, and it just works pretty fine. And yeah, wow, it's getting boring that I'm still flying, but it's like only 21.7. Planning to drop at 21. It's like a UFO just like hovering around. Wow, the sim bar was actually not bad. Also my first time flying this. Yeah, originally I had this configuration of the HD0, which I got in a trade. And yeah, it was HD0, that one was okay. It was like not something that I really was impressed. But this one, yeah, definitely I think Walksnail is something that if they can improve the penetration issue that most of the people are complaining about, so far I haven't been like experiencing it, but if that's something that they can fix, definitely I think this is something that we will be looking to switch to. Yeah, I really like it like so far, and seems to be like it's more for the hobby instead of like DJI is just mostly whatever they cooked out, you have to buy it. Yeah, but although I'm saying this, I probably will still get the 04 because like yeah, if that is like what I like whatever everybody was saying that the recording was so nice, then that is probably something I'm definitely going to be wanting to dip my toes in, so I can like create like super small cine loops. So no more GoPro, no more naked GoPro, that sort of thing. That was something that I was hoping that if Walksnail can actually whoever can come up with something like that, definitely that's going to be attracting a lot of people, at least for the filming side, because yeah, it's something that you just wanted to keep your quad as like light as possible and as the image as good as possible, because yeah, in that case it can be smaller and there's like less issues like around people and less noise, because like a 3-inch whoop like this, you can hear that it's super noisy. So probably later on I'm gonna I'm gonna probably replace the props to like those kind of 5-blade props, so to like kind of like drop the noise down a little bit. Yeah, so this is like really like a hovering flight. So I know like I'm going like around circles, so it's kind of boring, but yeah. All right, so I think we can drop. So we got about an impressive 10 minutes flight time, which is something that I wasn't expecting for this kind of battery. Yeah, so 1050, not bad at all. So basically that's about it for this long video, and if you have additional questions or comments, please feel free to leave it down below, and I will see you in the next one.